Sports Wrap, George Ringer. Here we are, another Wednesday, the last Wednesday in March. The madness is just about over.
Oh, I don't know, yeah, but there's a lot of madness to go this weekend.
There's a lot of madness left. See, I'm gonna start the show off with I don't know if you know about this, but we're gonna start the show off with this. And Minnesota men's basketball sent this out, a tweet out here at 3:56.
Okay.
And it says, "We are deeply saddened to learn of the passing of former Gopher Eric Magdans. Eric's 42 points against Michigan in 1962 is still tied for the Gophers' single-game record." So obviously he got to play with Bob Bateman.
He must have played with Bateman,
and so I thought we would maybe we would do the obituaries at the start of the show.
Yeah.
So we don't end up on such a downer. Not that it has to be that way, because we're celebrating life. But
it's coming like that, where those guys in the early 60s, late 50s, are boyhood heroes, or at least mine.
Well, yeah, because I wasn't born until the late 60s.
Yeah. But I'm sure someday someone will say the same about me. Maybe not. Who's to say?
Exactly. So,
yeah.
And the other thing that I want to, because I told you to make sure you reminded me, but I'm going to remember, our good friend Bjorn Johnson. Bjorn, as I like to call him, Bjorn Johnson. He got some medals in jiu-jitsu over the weekend, a couple of golds and a couple of bronze medals. But I didn't tell you this today when I saw you earlier, but I got a text message from him that basically said, "What was that spray that you always sprayed on the blisters and everything to help heal them up so that they didn't get infected?" Well, of course, immediately I knew he was talking about Nitrotan.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah," he says, and he went online. You can't find Nitrotan. It's gone.
Oh yeah, there was a reason it stung like that, and that reason
because it healed things.
It's hurt like hell.
It stung like the dickens.
Yeah, it did. No, I do remember it. But you give it a squirt, and then you put a little powder in your sock on. You're probably in pretty good shape.
Probably were in pretty good shape, and of course, he talked about the fact that he'd gotten some toe burn on the mat while he was wrestling, while he was jiu-jitsuing. I guess competing. Let's just put it that way, because I don't know if jiu-jitsuing is a word or not, but hey, anything on the wrap is legal, pretty much. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, congratulations, Bjorn. I know he probably watches the show every week, and he said, "Hey, you got to make sure that you say something on the show this week." So.
I wish we would have had jiu-jitsu when he was here.
Oh.
I wouldn't have taught it, but maybe gotta find. There's some jiu-jitsu people around here actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I might as well share one more other bit of news.
As long as it's here.
Because we always talk about our good friend Wyatt Ulrich.
Wyatt.
So just so everybody knows, we're gonna have a weekday daily report on the Sioux Falls Canaries and the Wyatt Ulrich every weekday on our radio station starting the second week in May. And I'm jacked about it. That means I got to pay attention to the Sioux Falls Canaries every day. Not that I wasn't before, but now I feel like I can report on it.
I get that thing streamed in the afternoon, go about my business. The only thing I really can't do, I have a difficult time reading and listening to a baseball game. It's a one or the other thing. So, but I have it playing all the time, and and he goes up and he gets hits all the time. So it's
So I think the first game is on May 12th. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Told us that I think if I texted him, I think he said he heads to Sioux Falls around the 1st of May, and they do some things. So
if you want to talk about my definition of the All-American man, it's probably Wyatt. He's And he did go to St. John's, but I don't hold that against him.
Well, we try not to hold that against him.
Yeah.
That's one of those things, even though I'm wearing a pretty red shirt for, those.
And I got Outlaws, so it's
and you got the Outlaws, so. Anyway, we'll be following along, of course, with Wyatt and how things are going. Of course, last night while I was traversing across the lower Ontario regions, I was wearing my Richmond Spiders hat. I pulled it out. It was time, and of course, Richmond made a wee bit of a run in the NCAA tournament.
They did.
And Wyatt made one of the big pools that I'm in. He's sitting right up there in about 4th or 5th place, riding the Spiders, who aren't obviously in the tournament anymore. But
no, the Spiders were an interesting team. They played 10 people on the court on that team. Many of them were seniors that came back because they had their extra year because of COVID, and they came back because they liked the coach and they liked being around. They just didn't want it to end, and they give it a good run. No, they had a very fine story.
All right, let's transition that into the basketball, because that's probably where we should go.
Yeah.
Are you Are you shocked about St. Peter's? Is it a shock anymore that a 15 can make it to the Elite Eight? Is it?
I have down
St.
here
Peter's.
with a star, St. Pete over Kentucky. How does this happen?
Because we talked about it a couple weeks ago that Kentucky, the oldest team in the field, shouldn't happen, right?
This actually shouldn't have happened. But again, St. Pete was one of those things, and we talk about this, motivation and spirit kind of lifted them. And you know, once a team gets the idea that they can beat you, then they're hard to beat.
They're hard to beat.
And St. Peter ran the court well. They played solid defense. And, you know, and the rest of us, I mean, I had Kentucky going on, so it was going to destroy my bracket. But deep down, I was pulling for St. Peter. And, you know, and it's just like...
I think everybody's pulling for the underdog, you know, if they, in those cases. But I'll tell you, North Carolina never gave them a chance to even think that they had a chance.
Well, and I think that's the key to the whole tournament. You got to put that team back on their heels right off the bat, and you have a chance. You have a chance for a double-digit seed to beat a top seed if you come out that hard. And we're going to see that. Might be able to see that this weekend.
Carolina's an 8 seed, making it all the way to the Final Four. Like I said, we're not surprised anymore when these teams make it. You know, I think it used to be a bigger deal. You know, when the 11s made it or the 9s made it, you really think that it was a big deal. Carolina's getting some love, but I don't think they're getting the number 8 seed to the Final Four love. And is it because they're North Carolina? And
well, yeah, and they've come on strong at the end of this season. I mean, they beat Duke. It's like, you know, what is Duke? Well, they're the favorite underdog. And, you know, and because they lost to North Carolina, and North Carolina is playing well.
They are playing well.
There's no two ways about it.
The NCAA's got to be smiling because they've got this matchup of Duke and North Carolina in the Final Four.
What can you ask for more?
With Krzyzewski's career coming to an end, it's almost Hollywood-esque. The only way it would have been more Hollywood-esque is if they played in the championship game.
Yes.
But this is pretty close.
This isn't bad.
Give me a percentage. Give me a chance that North Carolina beats Duke. What's is it 50%? Is it 20%? What do you think?
I think they got a 1 in 4 chance of beating them, and they're playing well. And Duke has a way of letting teams stay in the game. They just, you know, and otherwise, you know, Coach K, he couldn't get that growly look on his face, you know. They say he's a grandpa. Jesus, if he ever did that to his grandchildren, they cry. You know, but, you know, Duke finds a way. Ceausescu and his coaching staff find a way. And, you know, the other thing is that North Carolina has to come and beat Duke twice in a row. Tough job.
Caleb Love is playing very well for North Carolina. It's one of those things. I'm not a Carolina fan. I used to be a Duke fan. Unfortunately, one of them is going to be playing for a national championship. So I'll be pulling for whoever wins off the other side. I think I maybe said it here 2, 3, 4 weeks ago that I had this feeling about Villanova. I kept getting this feeling about Villanova.
Yeah, they're right there, aren't they?
I couldn't ride them all the way to the championship. I had them losing to Baylor, but I got them in the championship game. And Jay Wright just always has a team that's right there.
Well, he does, and Kansas is playing at the top of their heap these days too. So you know, it's going to be fun basketball on Saturday, and it's going to be fun basketball on Friday night as well.
You want to transition? You want to get out of the men's? You want to get into the women's?
Well, I'm telling you, if you want to get into something exciting, we can talk about the women's. The other game that I watched the other day was probably the finest, most exciting game in both men and women's leagues. It was incredible.
Our good friend Randy is shaking his head over there in agreement with you. I talked to Stuart Nordquist. He said the same thing, that it was fun, exciting basketball to watch. And I know that some people will say, well, the women's game isn't the men's game. No, it's not. It's a different game.
Yeah.
It is. It's a vastly different game. When UConn and NC State played the other night and it went to double overtime, I was fascinated that they said it's the first time that an Elite game, Elite 8 game, or Final Four game has ever went to double overtime in the women's tournament. I found that hard to believe. but what theater it was with UConn coming out, and of course Paige Beckers from Minnesota
is there, and and was she fun to watch? She didn't miss nothing. Now that one little Peasley shot in the beginning of overtime or something, but one shot. She was, 10 for 17 in a day, 27 points, and on top of that, she led that basketball team, and she, she's an amazing player.
The scary part is there's out of the final four teams for the women, and started on Friday in Minneapolis at Target Center, 3 number ones, and UConn's the number 2, but don't tell me that if Paige Beckers wouldn't have missed 17 games during the year, that UConn probably wouldn't have been the other number 1 seed. So.
UConn lost 5 games, and all 5 of those with the I don't know, they might have lost one with Paige playing against South Carolina, and then after that they lost all the rest of their games with Paige gone, and they still won quite a few games.
Yeah, and they're Connecticut. They just reload the gun. They don't rebuild. So this is the 14th consecutive year they've gone to the Final Four. Think about that. 14 in a row.
Yeah, no,
that's
what a
16
dynasty.
Years in a row to the Elite 8. I mean, that's an incredible thought. I don't care how good a recruiter, I don't care how many people you bring in, to not get upset to get to 14 straight Final Fours is absolutely bonkers.
No, this is a little known Final Four fact. The Huskies have a mascot, and it's a Siberian Husky, and his name is Jonathan.
I did not know that. That is a little known fact.
Are Jonathan, and Jonathan is named after. And I looked at this name and I thought, I've seen this name before. Well, indeed I had, and I checked one of my revolutionary textbooks. He was.
Only what? You have more than one?
I have, yes. And so I looked it up, and Jonathan Turnbull was the last governor of New Hampshire as a colony, and the first governor of New Hampshire as a state. And in between, he was a Revolutionary War hero. So Jonathan. He's got some legitimate things there, and so I looked and I thought, they still name, look at Jonathan after all these years and everything you've given to this country, they name a dog after you. So
there you go.
That's pretty good.
That's how it goes sometimes.
No,
sometimes you're the head, and sometimes you're the tail.
No, can you tell me what the mascot for Stanford is?
Well, that's the cardinal.
Yeah, it's a cardinal, but what's the mascot?
Well, they got a tree.
They got a tree.
They got a sequoia.
I got a tree that walks around the thing. Well, very good. I appreciate that. A lot of people aren't going to know that. But Stanford, their mascot's a tree.
Obviously, I'm a little bit of a sports freak.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But a couple of years ago, I went to the NCAA Women's Volleyball Final Four that was at the Target Center, and I got to watch the tree dance around where the band was playing for Stanford. And finally, Nita couldn't take it anymore. She goes, "What in the beep, beep, beep is that that's dancing around down there?" I said, "It's a tree." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Well, they're the Stanford Crimson." And she's like, "And?" I said, "Well, their mascot's a tree." And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it?" She's like, "No." And I said, "You're right, it doesn't make sense." But of course, they used to be the Indians, right?
The Indians, they cancel that, yeah.
And they got rid of that in the right fashion. And they came up with the cardinal. And what do you have for a cardinal? You have a tree. So, and if you look at the S, if you look at their Stanford S, there's a tree in the background in the S. So look that up. It's right there in there. You can see the tree in the background where the middle of the S is supposed to be. There's a tree in there.
I got one other little tidbit. South Carolina.
The Gamecocks.
They've led the nation in attendance for the last 8 years. And this year they've had over 12,000. Oh, you don't have to shush. I don't mind a little noise. I'll just tell everybody who it is.
There you go.
Anyway, but they have over 12,300. They get a lot of people that come to their games. UConn gets 8,000, so they get like 2/3 of it, So they're drawn.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to change to volleyball. Sure. Think about what the Big Ten gets for volleyball matches. The Gophers, I think, were 5th in the nation this year. They averaged like 5,500 people per game for attendance. Well, that's filled just about to the rafters at Maturi Pavilion. I don't think they can get much more than 5,500 in there completely. So when you think about it, some of these places are getting 8, 9, 10,000 for a volleyball game. That's okay.
That's
beautiful.
Good. Oh.
Everybody at home's going, oh, we really get that red shirt now. They're like this, going, man. But having said that, Nebraska is one of these places that has huge crowds for volleyball. Yeah, when you get out there and you got winning programs, people want to be a part of that.
Oh, you do, and if you want to talk about attendance, you got to go down to Iowa for their women's basketball. They're huge, and so yeah, no, there's some things that are going on. Now, my question for you, as long as we're wallowing around in basketball and women's basketball, where's the Big Ten?
Where's the Big Ten in men's basketball as well?
They're not, and it's kind of, we talked about this before, where maybe the great big guy with the two big forwards and the guards that look like, defensemen, maybe that isn't the way to go.
May not be the way to go. Are they finally going to change their tune?
I didn't know who was going to take down Kofi, but they did.
Well, here's what I saw. I didn't watch a whole bunch of basketball over the weekend, but I saw Clark Kellogg, and he was being pinned against the wall, proverbially, about the Big Ten and their lack of success in the tournament for the second consecutive year. And he said this: when we compare basketball teams, we got to compare them in two separate ways. One for regular season and one for tournament. And I'm like, isn't the whole idea? The whole idea is not to win a regular season title.
It's to work how you can do that.
It's to win the big title, win the big one. Oh. So he was trying to defend the Big Ten by saying they have the best conference in basketball because of what they do during the regular season. And I'm like, Clark Kellogg, you sound like a fool.
Well, he does, because they put nine teams in the NCAA, and they all get hammered.
Yeah, they. Yeah, Michigan made a little bit of a run.
Yeah.
Purdue made a little bit of a run. Of course, in women's basketball, Michigan made it to the Elite Eight. They were the only team to make it to the Elite Eight. Yeah, there are some issues. The Big Ten for the last 2 years has been treated very well by the NCAAs. They will not be treated as well next year.
I bet not.
And of course, Texas A&M won in the NIT semifinals last night.
Yeah,
and I bet they're want to stick it to the NCAA, and they're going to whoop the heck out of Xavier tomorrow night in the championship game, because they want to let everybody know the NCAA screwed up and they put in another Big Ten team and should have had an SEC team in there. And I think next year when we get to the tournament, the Big Ten doesn't get as much love.
And I'll tell you, St. Pete's beating Kentucky just kind of augments what they're trying to say. And it's, so I see where Texas A&M are going to have a.
You going to bring up your Coyotes?
We can bring up the Coyotes, yeah.
Unfortunately,
they just kind of ran out of gas.
Yeah, well, hey, it's not like they got blown out of the water.
No, they didn't get blown out of the water, and they made it to Sweet 16, and that's and they were exciting to watch for the games that I watched them. They had a good basketball
Creighton,
team.
number 10, made it through to the Elite Eight as well. Of course, they ended up with number 1 South Carolina. That didn't help their cause any, but it is what it is.
The deal about South Carolina. They're a mighty fine basketball team. And if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to play your best.
All right, so he brought it up, so we'll just transition right into that. All right, we got the Final Four on the women's side.
Yes.
Who wins? Who do we get?
I'm going to go in the finals with UConn against
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Okay. And that's possible, and I'm saying that because I can't remember if without looking at a bracket, who's on which side of the bracket in the women's tournament.
Yeah.
So I hate to say that I don't know, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going to call it up here while we're bantering.
Yeah.
I mean,
on Friday, South Carolina plays Louisville at 8:30, or at 6 o'clock, and at 8:30, Stanford plays UConn.
Yeah.
So that is the opening.
How about the big, tall woman for Stanford with the long pigtails, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying that right? Not a ponytails, pigtails. She scares me.
Well, she should.
I don't know if she. I hope your daughter takes this the right way. That's kind of how I felt about you going out onto the floor with your daughter. She had those sharp elbows.
Oh, she was dangerous.
She was dangerous. This woman, number 22, I can't remember her name. She scares the dickens out of me. She's about 6'4", and I think if she hit me with an elbow, she'd put me in the ground.
This is the month we celebrate strong women. Well, I got news for you. These teams have lots of them, and they are strong. And when you talked about but Hannah Stoljan, you see her, she's 6'2", she has to weigh 180, 190 pounds, and her shoulders are, she's put together like a lumberjack. In a positive fashion.
And I say that with all positive. There's no negative what I'm saying.
I
want her on my basketball team.
Oh, are you kidding?
There's some of these ladies. So we got Louisville and you said Louisville
and South Carolina.
Okay, so you're taking South Carolina.
I'm taking South Carolina.
I'll take South Carolina, and then you're taking UConn on the other side against Stanford.
And then
that is going to be one heck of a basketball game.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it. I won't get to watch it.
Yeah, I will.
I'll be getting ready for a hockey game. But having said that, I'm going to take UConn as well. But I mean, close.
Yeah,
so I think we agree. And then who wins it?
What you're seeing here is Paige Bokers. Now, there's a difference between a very good athlete and an athlete that just takes charge and does it.
I want her to take charge more.
Well, I think that she's just coming back. She's a humble girl.
She is. Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And but now she's back. She's in the groove. She lost a really good teammate that's out. She is the leader on this team, and I just got a feeling that she's going to step up and be the leader of this UConn team.
All right, so we got South Carolina versus UConn. Who wins it?
Well,
he's giving you that look, folks. I've seen that look before.
Well,
I know where his heart wants to go, but his brain is telling him, don't you dare go there.
I saw them play this year, and South Carolina just kind of beat them up pretty bad, and that was before Paige went out. So I know that South Carolina has talent. On the other hand, we're talking home court advantage for UConn.
I was going to say, does UConn get a little home court advantage because because Paige is playing in Minnesota?
The place is going to be filled with Paige fans.
I think there'll be a good share of people there cheering for Paige Beckers.
I can't say that South Carolina can be beat, but if anybody can, UConn will be the one to do it.
All right, we've got to talk about the men because we snuck away without making our picks. Okay. Duke or North Carolina?
I'm going to go with Duke.
Duke it is?
Yeah.
Okay, Villanova, Kansas.
Oh, I'm going to have to go with Kansas on that.
Figured he would. I got to go with Villanova because they're there.
Yeah.
So now we've got Duke and whoever you got.
It only goes with my bracket. I got one bracket which is miserable, and I got another bracket which is worse. And the one that's worse, I picked Kansas on. So if it's a matter how to stop the bleeding. But Kansas got a very nice basketball team, and they seem to be healthy, and they're going to be hard to beat.
Well, I want to say Villanova because I've been talking Villanova, but I hate to say this, but I believe that the magical trip for Mike Krzyzewski comes to fruition, and he does win it all. I think
Wouldn't that be something?
I think Duke will win it on Monday night.
They will make a movie of that.
They didn't. Well, they'll make a movie about it.
They'll make a movie.
I'm sure ESPN in their 30 for 30 is already probably got the actor.
Yeah.
Probably already picked out to do it. Yeah, it's Hollywood-esque. Sports sometimes is better than fiction.
It is.
And so there you go. There's our picks. You want to talk a little Timberwolves before we move away?
Yeah, Timberwolves. They're playing well sometimes. Right now they're a little bunged up.
Well, they're a little bunged up, but they're also playing some pretty good teams.
Well, they are, and on top of that, they're going to play a lot of them. I mean, there's, I don't know.
6 games left in the regular season.
6 games in the regular season, so they got 6 games in, 18 days. So they're about every third day, and they're all against real tough teams.
Start with Toronto tonight, and we'll see it. Nothing's going to surprise me. They're at 43 wins, so they're going to finish above 500.
Yeah.
I think they'll stick in here. They're probably going to win 3 or 4 of those 6 games. I think they're going to.
I think so.
Like I said, the game at Boston on Sunday was an absolute. I don't even know what to call it. It was awful. It was horrible. It was terrible.
Oh, you see a lot of teams going to Boston, and
Boston's playing really good basketball.
And they're playing really good basketball.
And then, of course, they went to Toronto on Monday and lost to Toronto.
Exactly.
So that gives you a little pause there for the Wolves tonight. But the Wolves are not. I don't think mathematically for sure into the playoffs, but something would have to definitely go off the rails. But I am happy to report that right now, if the playoffs started today, that the LA Lakers and all their money and glitz and show, they're not in the playoffs.
No, they got beat up pretty bad last night too, and so it's, hey, this is the way it works. We have changing of the guard all the time. And for LeBron, for all he's been able to do, and for all the things he's done for other people, it's sometimes you have to take a look.
Father Time takes over at some point.
Put those shoes in the middle of the circle.
I've never been better.
Yeah. I never have. I got this incredible 5-foot jump shot.
Yeah. So anyway, anything else basketball-wise that we need to discuss?
I just go through here I see what I do. I listen to Mike Rand and I take down notes.
Anything on the state high school basketball tournament? The boys got done over the weekend.
They did.
Cherry took 4th in Class A, and I would call it a upset in Class AA with Minneapolis North not winning. Annandale comes through as the number 3 seed and wins the AA, and then the number 1 seeds in 3 and 4A won as well as in Class A with Hayfield winning back-to-back titles. And I didn't get to watch a lot of it, but I got to watch Cherry on Friday when they made a good run at Hayfield. Were ahead actually for a good portion of the game, but Hayfield showed their experience and took care of business.
Well, it's really something you can go within a 100-mile radius of the Twin Cities and hit 50 top high school basketball programs. There's so many of them down there, and so they do this in all the sports, in wrestling and football. You really don't know who's going to pop out by the end, and they come from anywhere over there, especially. But this is a basketball state. I tell that to people, and they all get mad because they're hockey people. But this is the basketball people that we're producing right now. Paige and
Suggs,
Catlin Clark. I mean, it goes on.
What are we going to say about Gonzaga? We didn't even mention Gonzaga.
You know something? The thing of it is that Gonzaga lost. And so, that's just like, careful now, you don't want to hurt yourself. But they did not play well.
Gonzaga Chokers? Can we change their nickname from Bulldogs to Chokers?
I saw them when they lost.
They can't win.
They lost to St. Mary's this year. And, of course, at that point in time, I thought, why are you starting to fall in love with all these Catholic schools? Well, because they beat these other super dogs. And, it was a great win.
My mom will be mad at me. She loves Gonzaga, and rightfully so. They got a great program. But they have shown a propensity not to be able to win when the chips are down. They did not play well the first weekend, and I don't think they played very well the second week either. So will Chet turn pro, or will he go back?
Oh, I don't think he should turn pro left. He's still got some work to do. He can run the court and all, and if you don't mind having a 7'2" point guard, and he's not good enough at a point guard to be able to do that in the pros.
Randy, does he turn pro?
He probably will, but I don't think he should.
There you go. I think that will be the sentiment. He needs to put on a little more age.
What would he do with another 15 or 20 pounds? Would be amazing.
Yeah, he's going to get there. He will turn pro. I'm saying that to answer the question, so I don't get out of it. He will turn pro. There's too many jillions of dollars out there for him not to turn pro. He cannot take a chance on going back to Gonzaga and blowing a knee or worse or something else.
He could enter the transfer portal and come back to Minnesota.
Was that you I was talking with the other night? I was talking with somebody about this whole. I was with Mike about all these people leaving to go join a winner. Why not start your own winner? Why leave to go to Hermantown or Grand Rapids to play hockey, or move to wherever so that you can be on a better basketball team? Stay in your hometown and get people to come to you rather than you going to them. Tell them to come here so that you can stay home and grow up and change the program here in International Falls or here in wherever and make the program work. And it angers me that these guys leave Minnesota because, Minnesota's not a class program. Well, make it a class program.
Make it a class program.
Come in and show me how good you are. Are you just a follower, or are you a leader?
Well, I think Ben Johnson probably made a big step in who he had committed from last year. But you're absolutely right, and that works for both men and women. And we are just taking an awful lot of talent and scurrying it out.
All right, we better move on to something else.
We can.
How about hockey?
We can move on to some hockey.
Where do you want to start? You want to
Uh,
start with our Wild?
that's the only ones we have left, isn't it?
Well,
Oh,
we
Gophers.
can talk a little college hockey.
We can talk college, yeah.
So, yeah, the Minnesota Wild, the winners of about 12 billion straight now. No, 7 straight.
Oh, there's a shortage in Minneapolis, you know.
There's a shortage in Minneapolis.
In flower shops, because everybody's buying flowers, and after our new goalie gets a win, they throw all the flowers out, so they call him a Marc-Andre Flower.
Did you hear what he said on the cut I ran this morning?
He felt like a figure skater.
He says, I feel like a figure skater. He says, it's nice. He says, but people don't have to buy the flowers. Save your money. It's nice, but please don't.
Well, he got his second win, and they did it again. So it's...
yeah, I suspect people are going to continue to do it.
He's got an image now.
The fans are into it. I think a lot of fans, including myself, I think George might be with us, with the additions they made. They've shown that they can contend.
Oh,
with the
what
top
did they made?
teams.
They made 5 changes, and have they lost since they? I don't think they've lost at all since they made those changes.
No, since the big changes, there have not been losses, and of course they get the Penguins tomorrow night, Thursday night. Big game there, and then right now they've got 16 or 17 games left on the schedule. So you look at that, and I think I said this last week, they won't catch Colorado. Colorado just went over 100 points in the standings. The Wild can't catch them. I mean, even if Colorado goes less than 500 over the last month here, you won't see the Wild catch them. So we'll put the Central Division away. It's time to get ready to get this team into playoff form, and I think they are. Carrillo is hot. He's got the most goals in the NHL in the month of March at 13.
Right now he might set the Wild goal and point record, but held by Marian Gaborik. And and how many goals does he have now? Like
37, I think.
And I think that's it.
I think 5 short of the team record.
Yeah, he's going to break that.
Yeah, it would be strange if he didn't. He even clanked a crossbar, like I think one of the games that went into
against
overtime
Avalanche.
over the weekend. So right now, like I said, the Wild win a couple of games in overtime. They're winning close games, which you've got to do in the playoffs. You got to be able to win close games.
When he took the shot and hit the bar, and he went around the net, you could see him coming around. He had a smile on his face. It wasn't a smirk. He wasn't mad at himself. Wasn't anything. He smiled because he missed the goal by that much. Now he is fun to watch. The whole Wild team's fun to watch.
So yeah, we'll see how things pan out. Hopefully everybody stays healthy and pointed in the right direction, and I think they will.
I think they will too.
Let's talk college hockey.
We can.
My Bulldogs.
They went down, but they give it a good shot.
They went down on kind of a fluky goal. Do you agree? Did you see the goal?
I did. Yeah.
Fluky.
Well, yeah, but
unfortunate.
The thing of it is that what you were doing is you were really hoping that they could do Denver in twice in a row, and
Denver was the better team on Saturday. Denver was the better team. They showed why they were a number 1 seed. I'll give Denver credit. It still hurts that, like I said, they hit one off the end wall and it bounces off of Fanti's leg while he's down and a little tip into the net. So
I'm going to tell you
I'm going to try not to relive it because it hurts even still. This is almost a week later.
Does Fanti come back?
Fanti already signed a contract with Edmonton.
I wonder why.
He's sayonara. He's now a member of the Edmonton Oilers franchise. I don't think he'll make it up with the big club, but he went and signed. He's going to finish the year out.
No transfer portal for him.
No transfer portal, and Stejskal will hopefully, with his cancer treatments, hopefully he will get back, and I think will do very well for UMD. Obviously, Sandlin had to know that this was a possibility, that Fanti would be leaving. You can't have a phenomenal season like he did and not think that he is going to leave.
The last 3 or 4 games, that's as good as I've seen a Bulldog goalie in a while.
He's 6'3", he's big, he sees the puck well, he reacts well. Wish him luck. Hate to see him go. Of course, Noah Cates signed with the Flyers and was played at the XL Energy Center, basically hometown. The boys, they practiced at the XL Energy Center on Monday, and they got him into the middle of the circle and gave him the stick applause. And,
all right.
So Noah Cates, who's from Stillwater, by the way, in case you don't know, played for UMD and gets to sign his pro contract with Philly, and then they're playing at FEX, so he got to have pretty much, I guess, the whole UMD hockey team was there, along with family and friends and everything else. So a couple of UMD boys do well. But again, like I said, give credit to Denver. Of course, the Gophers make it through with a nice win. They take down Western Michigan, who was the #1 seed. And the Gophers are playing very good hockey right now.
They really are, and you know they.
As much as that pains me to say, but
no, but they have and you know and from the fall, beginning of the season, you couldn't predict that. They lost their goalie, who wasn't playing that well anyway. They wound up picking another one who got hot as a pistol, and they've been playing out of their minds since then.
Yeah, they kind of talked about the fact that they simplified the game. That maybe they used the word cute. That maybe we were trying to be too cute during the regular season, trying to make it look too fancy and just get back to simplifying the game.
Yeah, Gopher power hockey.
So the Gophers make it in. Of course, Mankato State, also from Minnesota, makes it in. Congratulations to them. They made it maybe a little bit more difficult than they needed to, especially in the first round game against Harvard. But Mankato State's won 17 in a row now.
They're playing well.
They got a bunch of old guys like Kentucky. I hope I'm not jinxing them, because of course I'd love to see them come through. They get to play the Gophers.
Well, you know, hockey, college hockey have a tendency to be a little bit older, because a lot of these guys have gone through junior programs.
Absolutely.
So they don't even begin to go to college.
Except for the poor Gophers who don't do that. They don't bring in juniors as junior players. That's gauche. Yeah. You don't do that for some odd reason. They're too good. They do it the right way. That's the reason why I don't like the Gopher hockey team, folks. For all you that are out there, like Tris, and you know who you are, that are going to watch this and wonder how I could bash the Gophers. But that means the Minnesota team makes it to the championship game, because Mankato plays the Gophers.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I'll have my Mankato Maverick stuff on if I have any. I'm going to put on my purple. And I'm not going to have any Gopher stuff on, because I'm going to be cheering for Mankato.
You don't have any Gopher stuff.
I do have lots of Gopher stuff.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody
Yeah,
that.
you worked there for crying out loud.
I worked there 30-plus years ago. And then on the other side of the bracket, Michigan, who's the #1 overall seed, they make it in, and they will get Denver, which Michigan, their firepower.
Should be a really, really good game.
Should be a good hockey game. And then we'll have the championship game in a couple of Saturdays. So looking forward to it. I know our good friend Mike Bolstead is not a believer in college hockey. It's too boring. It's too defensive orientated. It's too predictable. Everything else.
There's too few penalties.
They play a defensive team.
They play a team, and they play it in those wide rinks, so you can't hook them. And he's absolutely right. Anyway.
So when you look at it, when you look at the 4 teams that are in the final or in the Frozen Four, I want to make sure I say it right. Michigan, furthest team that's to the east, and then you get Minnesota, Mankato State, and Denver, and they're playing out in Boston.
Yeah, I go to Boston to do this.
I wonder what that's going to do to the attendance, seeing as how there's no Eastern teams out there. Who will they be cheering for, I wonder? Kind of interesting. I'm sure it'll be a full house. Boston fans are good hockey fans.
They are.
And I'm sure they'll get the, I believe they're playing, well, it used to be the TD place. I don't even know what it's called. The Gardens. I'm just going to say the Boston Gardens. Because that's the way it should be, folks. That's how it is.
The Gardens.
They should still have a parquet floor. That was probably warped. They should still be playing on it. Those Boston Celtics. Anyway.
Red Auerbach should smoke
Red Auerbach should still be smoking. Maybe they got to probably have him smoking a cigar in that anyway. How about anything else hockey-wise?
No, I do have to admit, though, I watched the second and third period of the Wild against Colorado, and these guys were going zip, and they, to see somebody that big to be able to skate that fast and handle the puck that well, these are remarkable athletes. There's no two ways about it.
So he leads me into my next thing about big and fast, and I watched the Dryden Ice Dogs last night up in Dryden on my travails through northwestern Ontario, and Dryden had the highest scoring team. So what would you think? That means they got Kirill Kaprizovs, right? I mean, that's what you would think. No. Dryden's got these big 6'5" guys that they put on skates that are meaner than HE double toothpicks, and they acted like it, and they had their hair all bleached out blonde for the playoffs, and these big dudes could skate and shoot the puck, and they beat up on our Lakers a little bit last night, beat them 5-0, and this one kid's name, I'm going to say he's 6'6", and I would say he goes about 235, 240, and can skate like the wind. And he is a mean son of a gun. One of the Laker players said something to him, turned around, threw down the gloves, tackled him to the ice, and just pummeled the living bejeebers out of him while he was on the ice. And now that's gauche, I'm told, by hockey. You don't do that. Once you fall on the ice, it's supposed to be over. Oh, no. The linesman jumped in, and I feared for the linesmen that were jumping in. He was a big dude, and he's a mean dude.
And he got 2 minutes for roughing.
He got 2 and 10, and that wasn't his first penalty of the hockey game. This was towards the end. 26 penalties in this hockey game that I watched last night, and lots of them for the running the goaltender and other things. So, yeah, it was interesting. But I told you Friday night, the border opens up into Canada. I told you should come over and you should watch this Dryden team. They're fun to watch. As much as they're mean or whatever, they're fun to watch because the son of a guns can skate. They play a very physical brand. They're right out there. And their coach basically said this to me before the game, kind of off the air, but he said, if my guys don't fall into playing the pond hockey kind of game, if they play the physical game that they can play, we're going to be tough to beat. And they came out and they absolutely played their game. They beat up the Lakers and whatever else. And I said they're an interesting team to watch. And they ended up third in the league. They're not even one of the top 2 seeds. But anyway, it was fun.
I remember when the brothers came to Slapshot, it changed their whole concept of the game.
So anyway, it was interesting, and I had not yet to see Dryden all year. I've seen a few other games for the Lakers against Cam River, the Fighting Walleye.
No, Fighting Walleyes.
One of George's favorite names, one of my favorite names, and of course the Red Lake Miners. They also had some big dudes on their team. So. There's a lot of good hockey out there to be played, and
they raise big Canadians.
They raise big Canadians, and they like to skate and they like to play hockey.
Yeah.
And eat Canadian bacon. No, I'm just kidding.
They do.
Anything else hockey-wise that we need to jibber jabber about?
I'm just thinking here. I'm going through my notes. No, but I'll have to say this. As I go through here, Marc-Andre Fleury, Demarius Smith, Carlos Correa. In 1 week, those were athletes that came to Minnesota. And I think all of them, at least potentially, are game changers. I think last week was a good week for Minnesota.
It was a great week. Great week. It's been a great month for Minnesota pro sports.
It has. And I didn't even talk about Jesse Davis because I'm not sure how great he is.
Yeah, this is kind of a interesting time because what caused all of a sudden these Minnesota general managers and presidents of whatever, where we wouldn't go out and spend any money, we wouldn't go make a big signing, and all of a sudden it seems like that's all we're doing. We're not used to being in the
I'm going to tell you right now, the ones we got are the ones we got, and I don't think there is no more signing. And the draft, how many draft people are you going to get that are going to help you? So they have to have what they have now, and as long as they didn't get rid of Anthony Barr, I'm in good shape there because I liked him.
Well, they still could see a trade right around the draft time. We'll see how that all pans out. They got to keep one of the linebackers, right?
Well, they do.
But we'll see how it works out. That's going to be part of the talk, of course, going through April as we approach the draft in late April. I don't think it's in May. I think it's the last week in April. But we'll get as we get closer along to that. But yeah, it's an exciting time for Minnesota pro teams. It's been fun.
Yes, it has.
Twins. Let's talk a little Twins.
We really should.
Correa hit a home run yesterday. Today, Buxton hits a grand salami and had an RBI double. So maybe Byron is coming into shape. No hex.
Well, the question I have, of course, is what's the number one question for the Twins? Pitching. So Medea's out for he had Tommy Johns, and right now they have before they brought over Archer, they really didn't have a starting pitcher, not to mention
Sonny Gray probably would be
Sonny Gray
would be in that mix. Who's probably going to be the number one starter, and they're going to hope that Archer, who hasn't really played the last two seasons due to injury, can find his old form. He was an all-star with Tampa Bay
he
for
was,
a couple of years
so
in 2015 and 2017.
And I don't want to be impertinent on here, but, the Twins rehab project sometimes haven't worked out.
A lot of them haven't worked out.
Well, I was just saying, but I hope they do.
You would hope.
Because I remember him pitching, and he was a chucker and a driver. He did real well.
Did you hear Miguel lost 25 pounds?
No kidding, really.
Miguel lost 25 pounds, and he's still striking out like crazy. So.
Oh, yeah, but it's earlier in the year. He can't see the ball yet.
That Florida light is so bad. The sun doesn't. It just had a bad angle in Florida.
And with the other day they were talking about all these pitchers. Like there's 6 or 7 teams in the league that are looking for starting pitchers, and they can't find any. I guess Billy Bean out in Oakland has a bunch, but he ain't getting rid of them. And
why?
Well, because he causes a shortage in other places. Haven't you ever seen Moneyball?
I have seen Moneyball about 49 times.
Oh, I love that show.
movie.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to see them come in with. I mean, there's going to be, and at the end of last year, a lot of pitchers to finish a game. I mean, they started bailing those guys in about the 5th inning, and I think if we see any starting pitchers that go past the 5th inning, we're in pretty good shape.
I had a feeling I should pick up my phone, and there's a reason why. Veteran cornerback Patrick Peterson has announced that he is re-signing with the Minnesota Vikings.
Well,
is that a good thing?
Right. Yeah, that is a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we got.
That's where the defense has. That's where it has to start. Offensively, they got to work on the offensive line. Kirk Cousins isn't going anywhere, and so they have to kind of plan the strategy. What do they want to do with this team?
Yeah, I think they're
because I'll tell you, Green Bay, their strategy went all to pot because they tried to figure out, we got this incredible quarterback. Who's he going to throw the ball to?
They'll find some guys. Those receivers, they're a dime a dozen. Aaron Rodgers will make them into all pros. That's what he does.
That's what he does.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
He gets a Jordy Nelson who isn't very fast and shouldn't be, but he keeps throwing them the football and makes them into all pros. That's what he does. Unfortunately, for Vikings fans, I believe that to be the truth. What else you got written down there,
Right
brother?
down here, I didn't know what a splinker was.
A splinker?
A splinker.
I have no idea what a splinker is.
That is a split finger sinker.
Split finger
splinker. And this is what Mr. Archer has been working on is a splinker. So we'll see how well the splinker goes. That's just a term. Oh, I thought maybe I was going to ask you what it meant.
I did not have that. So.
Let's see. Oh, as long as we're here.
Yeah.
The front page of the Sports in the Tribune today talked about sports equality.
Okay.
Now, this all stemmed from last year's NCAA, in which the women didn't get the weight room that the men got. And I've been thinking about this subject lately. You have a team in a 3-day tournament. How much time are you going to spend in the weight room?
Some.
There might be a rehab room, or might be some things that but you're not going to go in there and be bouncing around 250, 300 pounds. This is a light type thing. So I'm not sure just how but this year they don't have it in either quarters. They'll give you a slip that you can go if you need to work out, and I'm sure there's plenty of gyms around. But people are going to be watching the equality between women and men real close, and I'm sure that these guys are going to get the same gift bags as the men do. And this is on the front page, and this is, women are not going to take much of a back seat anymore in this subject.
Sorry, I had to finish a text message there.
Yeah.
Some business that had to be taken care of before I forgot.
Yeah.
So, what else? Anything else?
I thought I had it all convinced when I said Stanford's mascot was a tree, but you already knew that.
You'd be surprised what kind of whatever stuff is stuck inside that.
So, but I have to also Gino Oriyama has been coaching there since 1985.
It's 37 years or 38 years.
That's a long time. I remember he was a young, good-looking guy with dark hair.
He's not anymore.
No, he's no man.
He's an old guy now. He's starting to wear on him.
And they says, how does he do this year in and year out with only 8 of the top 10 recruits in the country? I don't know how he does this. But I suggest right off the bat, he recruits very well.
He recruits very well.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to go to play at UConn, want to be a part of that tradition.
They do.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you next week.